Welcome to Cruise Nerds.
Cruise Nerds!
I'm your host, Paul.
And I'm your other host, Sarah.
And we're coming back to you every couple weeks about cruising, because that's what we do. We're nerds that like to cruise.
Some of us nerdier than others.
Oh, wow.
I'm not saying which.
Are you suggesting you're a bigger nerd than me? Because I don't know.
Could be.
I don't know. I've got some pretty heavy nerd credentials. I have like Star Trek figurines, right? I mean,
true, but you have two bicycles.
Yeah, but biking isn't.
That you don't ride.
Because you have the bike storage company. I forgot about that. Anyway,
I keep trying to hide it with my body, and it doesn't work.
It's all good. People are expecting to see that now every week.
I hope so. I like to think it's part of things.
Absolutely. I've been trying to figure out what to put behind me. I've got little frames that you could put records in.
Ooh.
But I haven't put any records in them yet. I have like 300 records.
What are you waiting for?
Initiative, drive, ambition.
Ambition. All right. There we go. I like it.
Inspiration. I think I should find one that has like a cover that has like a travel theme, right? Like tropical paradise or maybe even like a boat.
Do you have a record that you don't like and you could get somebody to draw that on there?
No. I like all of my records.
That's fair. As you should.
That is sacrilege, by the way. For any record fans, for any vinyl fans out there.
I know, but there's
Please
some
forgive Sarah. She's not an initiate. I don't even know what the word is. Anyway, we're way off track. How are you, Sarah?
Way off track. I'm all right. I'm doing all right. How about you?
I am doing pretty good. Yeah.
I'm very glad to hear that.
Have you been sick? Or I know you were sick for a while. Have you been better?
I was very sick for quite a while after my trip. It took me a long time to recover. I think I'm almost in my normal state now. Tiny bit of a cough every now and again, but it wasn't COVID, FYI.
Wow.
Concerned.
All of those things, are coming back as people are, get together. So, we did not eradicate the common cold or the flus or any of that.
No. And having some bigger things to do with my health, it definitely hit me a little harder than others.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yes.
All right. Well, today we're going to talk about my last cruise, because last episode we talked about Sarah's last cruise, which if you're new to the channel or you're new to the podcast, go back and listen to that, because Sarah told us all about her fabulous adventure to Alaska.
It was delightful.
And I'm going to talk today about my fabulous adventure from Los Angeles to Vancouver.
To warmer climates. No.
That's when you go the other way. That's the end of the season run, I think.
Was it warmer in California than it was here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Los Angeles always is, but even San Francisco, because San Francisco oftentimes has similar weather to Victoria.
Right.
Because it's Northern California. People don't think of that. They think California is all sunshine. San Francisco is apparently one of the windiest cities in like the world.
Really?
Apparently. I was surprised to learn that. I guess just the way it's laid out with the ocean and stuff. I don't know.
I thought Chicago was the windy city of the US, but
they obviously take the title, right? But
really?
Yeah, I was surprised to learn that. I learned a lot of things actually traveling to San Francisco, even though that was my 4th time there. But
cool.
First time I went, I was 11.
That's kind of one of the reasons to travel, though, isn't it? Like, you always learn something about a place, whether you've been there before or not.
Yeah. We this time around, we actually, because we knew a few things, we actually knew what we wanted to go see, and so so we did more of that. But awesome. Yeah, it was really neat. Anyway, let's talk about the whole thing.
Let's get into it.
I will take your cues, Sarah. You will be guiding this episode.
All right, I'm ready.
I will think in my mind of all of the great memories of a month ago.
2 months ago.
A month and 5 weeks ago, I think probably.
Yeah, fair. All right, so tell us what where did you go? First of all, let's just break that down.
So we flew down to Los Angeles and boarded the Radiance of the Seas, which is the first of the Radiance class of ships. And this is Royal Caribbean. There's a few Radiance class. Radiance class is a little different than some of the newer ones like Explorer and of course the Oasis class and stuff, because there's no Royal Promenade like there is on those ships. And that's kind of weird going on Royal Caribbean and not seeing that, because that was always kind of just a center point for life and culture on the
and the promenade is that middle bit with the trees and things. And
no, you might be thinking on Oasis of the Central Park.
The Central Park, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So nothing like that.
The Royal Promenade is a feature on
the promenade.
It's on most royal ships. They have a royal promenade, and it usually has like some drinking establishment. It's like a walkway. They have some drinking establishments that have like, it'll be like a couple floors, and there'll be even there'll be suites that look out onto the Royal Promenade, but it's all inside. And then sometimes they'll have parties and entertainment there.
Cool.
And they'll have shops, and there's a restaurant, and they're buy your watches and your jewelry and your perfume.
Lovely.
All that. Right. But it's really neat the way they've done it, because it feels like a mini shopping mall, but it's kind of casual. And usually you can go down a floor to the casino or up a floor to guest services or whatever. So it's all kind of the connecting hub of royal ships for all of the newer ones. But that Radiance does not have that. Radiance is more traditional insofar as there's that central atrium in the ship.
Right.
Yeah. Right. And it was weird at first, because it's like, we like that feature of the royal ships, and so we're going on one without one, but we quickly forgot that we cared about that. So
excellent. Well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
So travel.
Yeah.
You went right at the time that they took the mask mandate away, didn't you?
Well, it was actually right after that the U.S. dropped the mask mandates. We had actually been back for a couple of days before then, but we were actually traveling on Air Canada anyway. And so so the mask mandates.
The masks were on while you were on flight. Yeah. Did they serve food while you were on your flight?
No. The flights were too short. They did serve like drinks and stuff, but we were good. Like we didn't.
Yeah.
I don't need a drink on an airplane. I know some people need to drink on an airplane.
Funny story. My cousin flew from Victoria, or I think the other way around, from north somewhere, northern BC, back down, and they served the snacks, the pretzels or cookies or whatever your option is. And what they did, this was definitely while masks were on, what they did was they said, you can't take your mask off until everybody in your row is eating. And so they did it row by row. So you only get the things flying around from the people in your row.
Yeah. I mean, random almost would have been better, but
yes.
I do think, masks on airplanes are a good idea because you're in a close space. But on the flip side, the ventilation systems on airplanes are usually way better than, than most buildings and things like that.
Sure.
Right? Any other crowded spaces you could think of, it's actually pretty good. And actually, I think cruise ships as well, because
cruise ships are definitely very good with their ventilated air.
Well, they've had all those problems historically with outbreaks and stuff, so they invested in that, and it's actually They don't, it's not that expensive. This is the thing that really drives me crazy is people think you got to spend millions of dollars upgrading ventilation systems and stuff, but really most people can upgrade their ventilation system at lower cost. Anyway, that being said, all that being said, yeah, we had no problem. Now, when we got there, we arrived in Los Angeles late at night. We decided to go late night and late check in, and then get up the next morning and get on the ship. But when we arrived there, the door wouldn't open.
Oh no!
For the plane, and there was something kind of didn't work. And if they had opened the door, there was a possibility that it would have triggered the slide. Oh. And if it had triggered the slide,
got to slide down.
Well, I was excited about that, right? But if that had happened, because they were right next to the, what's the little connector arm thing that's, you know what I'm talking about. The slide could have hit that. Oh. And the impact of that, who knows what could have happened. I mean, it might have tipped the plane over. I'd probably not, right? But it would have been very damaging, right?
Broken things. And
so we waited we waited 45 minutes or so for the maintenance guy to come and open the other door on the other side.
Oh, okay.
And so we had to take the precarious staircase down, go around the front of the plane, and then go up the other side. And then we were home free at that point.
Right.
By the time we were supposed to get off the plane at like 11, which was already pretty late, but it was closer to midnight.
Yeah.
And we didn't get to our hotel room till about 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
Trying to find LA, every time I go, they've reconfigured it. So I'm trying to figure out where to get an Uber or Lyft. Oh. And we ended up going to the wrong place like twice. And anyway, frustrating, right? But we ended up finding it. And I got to tell you, if you're thinking of those options for your travel, we're not from a city where we do this often. I don't even know if it's here at all, right?
I don't think so.
But for people where this is all foreign, sign up ahead of time, do it all properly. But when you get there, compare the costs of the two.
Oh yeah.
Because we ended up going with Lyft, and it saved us about $30 US.
Oh wow.
Yeah, at the same time. And we just checked, and we're like, okay, this one's twice what we thought it was going to be, and this one's not quite twice what we thought it was going to be. So
that's awesome. Yeah.
Who knew that peak time was midnight too? Because presumably, people going home from pubs and stuff like that, right?
True.
They don't, hopefully not driving. So I'm such an old man, I never would have thought of that, but apparently we were taking during a peak time. So
well, that does make sense. Yes. Mm-hmm. And so did you have to do any of the like the travel apps before you left?
Oh yeah.
So what one did you have to do? The Verifly?
No. Verifly?
Verifly, yeah. It's for some flights and some cruises. We had to do it for our Holland America trip. Oh. As well as we had to fill out all the information, of course.
Even though you weren't flying.
No.
That is kind of funny, isn't it?
It is. And then we also had to do, I'm sure you didn't have to do it until the way back, the Arrive Can.
Yes, we did that. We did that ahead of time. Right. But we had a fun adventure with my wife's passport.
Yes.
Did I tell you about that?
You told me, but I don't think you told the people.
Okay, well,
lovely listeners.
So I'm telling everybody right now, if you're planning travel soon in the next like 6 months, go and check your passport, get it done well ahead of time, because it is crazy town right now. So
big lineups.
Yeah. So my wife, we did plan ahead, we thought. And she, like 2 months beforehand, we're like, okay, we got to get the passport thing sorted out. And, this happened, that happened. Next thing you know, it's 6 weeks away. But she's like, okay, I'm going to go down there and do it. And so she arrived at the place, and it was a certain number of business days where you have to, if you're later than that, then you can't do that at Service Canada. You have to go to a passport office. And so she was 1 day under that. I think it was like 28 business days or something. Anyways, and it was like 27 or something, right? Anyways, so check that if you're getting close. So then to go to the passport office, you can either go and wait in line and hope for the best, which is not advisable at all.
No,
or you can book an appointment. Now, if you got 27 days or 3 weeks or whatever before your cruise, go online and book an appointment. Now, this is the thing. You don't actually book an appointment. You fill out a form that says you want an appointment, and then they phone you back to give you the appointment, because that makes a lot of sense, right?
Yes, clearly.
Anyway, so she waited. So she did that properly. She waited, I don't know what it was, 4 or 5 days to get the call back to book the appointment. Right. They asked when her travel was, and they booked her for like the day before that you'd need to apply and not get the penalty for rush, right? At that point, which I think is 2 weeks. I think there's like a super special 2 weeks, and then there's like super special 72 hours where you pay like a pile more. So don't do that. Save yourself the money. Don't do it. Anyway, so then she goes and she finally goes to the appointment. She does the application, and they say, and they give her heck for it. Well, why'd you wait so long? She's like, I didn't wait so long. I've been like in the system, and this is the day they told me to be. Anyway, so thinking that planning ahead 6 weeks is good for your passport is bad. You know, if your passport expires, you know, in the next 6 months,
do it. Just do it right now.
Just go do it. Yeah.
Get it done.
Yeah. Wait, so we were, for our next trip, which is now 3 months away, we've got our passport applications in already for our son and my nephew who are coming with us, because we're just not gonna horse around. Although that's interesting, because we tried to book Service Canada so we could go and do that, and it said no appointments available online. If it's within 3 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever, then go to the passport office. And
it's one of those systems. I love it when they do that to you.
Yeah, so they gave you 2 options, but not like, one is there's no appointments available, and the other one you're not supposed to use because you're not urgent enough.
Yeah.
So I phoned them. I actually called 1-800 Canada or whatever.
Yeah.
I got a very polite, helpful person who said, yeah, what about just mailing it?
True.
And I'm like, I don't know if I want to mail, like, what if they lose documents and stuff? Anyway, we kind of did a assessment of the documents and everything, and we concluded in the end that was going to be the simplest thing to do. And a worst case scenario, we'll just watch the clock, and if we don't get the passport, you know, within, you know, the time period to rush, then we'll go do it all over again and presume that our passport applications got lost in the mail. So it's a bit dodgy.
I wonder if they get mad at you because of that. Like, in the end, if you have to do 2 at once, and then they get all pissy because you've got 2 passports.
Well, I think in this case, because of the fact that, you know, we did take the proper initiative, they shouldn't get angry at us. I think there's people that are literally showing up the day before they're flying that are still expecting to get their passports.
Oh boy.
Anyway, a lot of those requirements and stuff, like booking the test to return, that's been super confusing for people. And when we booked our COVID test for like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Our flights left at like 8. And so we gave ourselves like this giant window of time to get everything organized.
Right.
And we paid the extra to get the COVID test done right there at the airport.
Oh, okay.
By the way, there's 2 types of tests, of course, unless some kind of thing with your travel requires the more expensive PCR tests. Don't do that. We were literally sitting there with people who were just about to pay their $350 or something for 2 tests. I'm like, that's not right.
No.
And they're like, oh, and then they discovered they had paid for the more expensive tests. Anyway, So get the rapid test. But the reason you have to do it is they have to be authenticated by them, and they'll email you a QR code and blah, blah, blah.
Yes, we did ours online the night
You did?
before.
Yeah, you were saying, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
yours was cheaper too.
Nice and easy. Yeah, super easy, at home, comfortable.
Yeah.
And you don't have to stick that thing nearly as far up your nose as they do for you.
Oh, they didn't do that. They did just a regular test. Yeah.
What do you mean a regular test?
They did a regular rapid test. They just did it for you, so it's authenticated, right? Because you can lie. People can lie if they do a home test and they're like, they got 2 strong bars, they can be like, yeah, I tested myself at home and I'm good, right?
No, but you do it in front of a nurse.
Exactly, yeah.
And then you have to hold it up in front of you.
Yeah. What if you did the swaparoo though? Did you do? Anyway,
well, you have to have it all set up so that she can see everything you do
the whole time. There's no
you hold it up
hand
and
quicker
then
than the eye.
the magic trick.
The magician style. Please don't fly if you have COVID. Let's just say that, please everybody.
Don't travel. Please stay at home if you have COVID.
Please stay home. Yeah, and don't go to work if you have COVID. You know, just like
just
anyway.
be at home.
Yeah. Be at home.
Order your food in.
Be at home is great.
So the travel wasn't that bad.
It was fine. Yeah, I gotta tell you, I was pretty nervous because, and I'd be more nervous now flying. Like, we're going to be flying into the US. I think some of the carriers are US carriers on our next one.
Okay.
So, you know, I don't want to get sick with COVID on vacation. I don't want to get sick with COVID at all, but I definitely don't want to get sick on vacation, because that
sounds terrible.
But the insurance that we have covers us for that. So if it does happen, but yeah, when we fly to Florida in August, you know, I don't care who's wearing their mask or not. I'll be wearing mine the whole time, because, you know, and if people want to look at me funny, that's fine. They can do that. I'm a big guy. I'll just do this.
Super.
People are funny about this whole mask business, and it's like, you know, if you want to not wear a mask, well, that's your right now, I guess. But
absolutely.
But you know, don't bug those of us who want to continue to wear them. And you know, I would say, you know, people should just kind of be nice and respect other people. And you know, I feel it's a little different if somebody's got no mask and they're coughing, you know, and hacking up a lung and stuff. Like, if that's you and you really don't like masks, please just put on a mask in that situation. Like, you know, it's I think I could have even said that in like 2019, and I used to tell people at my work, like, if you have a flu, stay home, because I don't want your flu, right? So yeah. Anyway.
Yes.
Enough about that. Let's talk about fun stuff.
How was you touched on it a little bit, but how was the ship itself?
The ship was awesome. Really fun, great staff. We had our room attendant was awesome. The guy's name was Alvin, and he was a hoot. Catherine actually bought when we went to the California Science Museum in San Francisco, Catherine actually bought a little plushy white alligator.
Right.
I don't know why. That's weird, but whatever. She liked it, so she bought it. So she brought it back. Anyway, Alvin made the towel version of it so he'd have a friend. That was so cute. So,
that's very sweet.
So Alvin got a good tip. But yeah, overall the staff were really nice. Definitely lots of new people that were still learning the ropes. And one of the things that I noticed, and I guess it's a criticism, but I think it might be kind of more of a training thing, is you get a lot of people. This is my assumption anyway. So Catherine was invisible to some of the staff, in particular some of the wait staff and the food service staff. Like, they'd come and take orders, but they'd somehow just miss her. Like, sir, would you like a cup of coffee? And it'd be like, yes, please. And then they just walk away. And she's short, but I don't think that's it. I think it's a cultural thing. I think I think
Yeah.
in their culture, the man orders for the woman, and they're maybe they haven't been trained to understand that they need to ask
Right.
women
Yeah.
what they
I
want
would say
to.
that I almost found the same thing. Not like, especially not ordering alcohol at a bar.
Right.
If we were both there together and he was ordering a drink, and then because I'm not ordering an alcoholic drink, I almost wasn't as important. Like, they'd check
Sure.
back with him.
Yeah.
And not with me.
Yeah. Ironically, Catherine would be the one ordering the alcohol, and I don't drink. So that was, yeah. Anyway, I it's hard to say, right? I think sometimes there's that tendency, because the people that drink, they get better tips. They're more expensive drinks, they get a better tip. So they're gonna not care as much if you're ordering orange juice or something, right?
Yeah.
And you might be more of a hassle, frankly, if you order something that's weird, right? Like,
Yes.
they have to go somewhere else to get. But
Right?
I think the big thing, though, I do feel like it was a cultural thing. Like the countries that people were from where I noticed there was a consistency. I'm not going to name any countries, but ones that are kind of known to be more patriarchal, and I think there was probably a learning curve for those people, understanding that women from the Western world can order their own food and their own drinks, right? So ordering food wasn't so bad, but drinks was weird, Sarah.
Right.
It was super weird.
It happens, right?
Yeah.
Anyway. Which brings us to another interesting point. How was the food?
Well, that's a good one. That's a good question. I would say overall, I had some spectacular meals, and then I had some very disappointing food experiences. So the big one is if you're gluten-free, and I hinted at this last episode, if you're gluten-free like I am, used to be, when you go on a Royal Caribbean ship, that you could order tomorrow's dinner ahead of time.
Okay.
They bring you tomorrow's menu, and you could tell them what you want, and they would prepare it gluten-free. And there was very little that they wouldn't prepare gluten-free. Like, if you tried to order gluten-free spring rolls, like I did once for a kicks, good luck. You're not going to get that. You're going to get something else. but yeah, so so they didn't do that anymore. So ordering was super complicated.
Okay.
It reminded me of cruising a decade ago, where, especially at the buffet, didn't matter who you asked, where they were, very little signage, that sort of thing. If you said, "Hey, is this gluten-free?" the person would say, "Oh, I'll check," and then they'd walk away for 10 minutes, and by that time everything on your plate was cold at the buffet, right? But they just never knew the answer, and that's kind of frustrating, because especially when you're from here, where you go to any restaurant, like on Vancouver Island, you go to any restaurant in some backwoods place, and you're going to see little symbols on the menu that show you what things can be gluten-free and what things aren't. So, but Royal Caribbean had none of that at all.
Okay.
So,
but that could also, that might also be an expectation that because we live where we live.
I think so. Yeah.
We're very aware of people's dietary limitations, is the word I'm going for here. And people on all these different diets and things, and
it's complicated. But they do vegetarian. Like, if you're a vegetarian or vegan, they will have that on the menu. So and
gluten-free is much more common now.
Yeah.
Much more common.
Well, I just feel like it would just do everybody, like, you feel kind of bad, like, wasting servers' times, and like this, or like if they just took the initiative to have it on the menu ahead of time, I feel like that would just make everybody's life easier.
Absolutely.
So that was definitely a frustration, and the big reason why it was a frustration was because I know Royal Caribbean has done better than that on other ships in the past, and so I feel like they just kind of took a step backwards. But they did it. So the other big criticism I had was, well, there's a few things. some of the failures on the food were spectacular too. Excuse me. The buffet, even though the ship was like a third capacity, they opened up the entire buffet for breakfast. So by the time we wandered down for breakfast, late eaters, everything had been like heat lamped to death, and so it just wasn't very good anymore. And it's not like there was more variety by opening the whole buffet. They literally just repeated the same stuff across multiple stations. So so you found yourself wandering from station to station looking for something different. Yeah. And you're finding the same stuff over and over again. And you're kind of like, why they even bother? Right.
And like, just out of curiosity, what's your go-to breakfast?
Well, I like an eggs Benedict, and they didn't have that at all. Okay. Usually I can get away with the eggs Benedict that they sort of mass produce and have there, and just sort of very carefully slip the bun off, right?
I'm shocked that they didn't have that.
Yeah, they didn't have eggs Benedict. They didn't have any sausages that were gluten-free. Okay. So all the sausages had gluten in them. I like a variety of fruit, and they had sort of the same fruit over and over again. Their cereals were kind of weird. Like they did have porridge, so I had porridge one day. But anyway, it was just very limited. It's just this massive amount of food, and I could eat 10% of it, and it was just goofy. Anyway, so on day 3 or something, they opened up a gluten-free station on board, and it had like 5 items. So it's like, all right,
fruit and bacon.
yeah, it was weird too. It was sort of, and there was one thing in there where I was like, is this really gluten-free? Because I don't even know. But anyway, very strange. So buffet, I would have to say, was a solid 3 out of 10. And we went to the lunch buffet on the first day, and then one other day it was just kind of uninspired, let's say.
That's disappointing to hear.
Yeah, and I used to love the buffet on cruise ships too. It just seemed to be like, we're just serving, we're just feeding people. We're not thinking about being interesting. Like they even, like I like, when they have a variety of cheese and cold cuts and stuff, and they had like 2 varieties of each every single day, the same 2. It's just, I would say if this is the new normal for Royal Caribbean, then their food is definitely gone down. And it may be kind of just the costs and stuff, right? That being said, I had a couple of spectacular steaks and a spectacular prime rib, and my wife had the what's it called? Lobster night. She had 2 lobsters, which is sort of tradition for her. Yeah. I'm not a big lobster fan, so we tried a specialty restaurant. We tried the sushi restaurant. Right. I would say overall it was very good, but the limitations for gluten-free were like ridiculous. So we literally didn't have any choice in what I had. There was 1 roll, sashimi, and then there was 1 salad you can get, which I didn't like, which was like the seaweed salad. Oh, okay. So they made me a different salad.
Oh, that's nice.
By putting together the dressing, like remaking the dressing with gluten-free soy sauce. So, overall, not. But I got to tell you the worst one, Sarah. This is the absolute. So after the breakfast buffet was kind of we decided one day we would go, and it was a sea day. We decided we'd go to the restaurant for breakfast.
Right.
And so we went to the restaurant, and I ordered eggs Benedict. It's on the menu. I'm like, yes, perfect. Get on gluten-free bread, whatever. Don't even care. Just leave the bread off. Just load up the hollandaise sauce, and Paul's good to go, right? But when you order, you ask I asked them, I said, I want my eggs cooked hard.
Okay, you're one of those.
I'm one of those people where, like, if the eggs are a little bit runny yellow, then that's okay. But I always ask for them hard, because if the eggs have runny whites, I just can't eat them. I just find that, like, I feel disgusted by it, right?
Okay.
So I ordered them hard. I always do that. I always order hard. If they come hard, great. If they come with a little bit of runny yellow, yolk,
They actually call that the yolk, just so you know.
Yeah, the yolk, the yellow.
I'm not sure if you knew that.
The yellow, the orange could be orange too.
It can be orange if it's a good egg.
It's a quality egg. Anyway, so they brought them, and I'm all excited because I'm getting eggs Benedict. Oh, thank goodness. And like super runny whites, like the whole thing was gush, right?
Ugh.
And so when the guy was standing there, I was just like, dude, like I hate to complain. I really do.
Yeah.
I hate to complain, but I can't eat this. Like I just can't eat it. I said, this is not, like, I asked for my eggs hard, and this is anything but hard, right? And he's, oh, so sorry. So he takes it away and comes back 5-10 minutes later with new ones, runny whites.
Oh no.
Like probably worse than the first batch.
Oh.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm just looking at this guy. I'm like, dude, I can't eat this. Like, I'm not trying to be difficult. I just really can't eat this.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, well, I'm going to go get the manager. So he went and got the manager, and then had like the manager explain, and he started kind of making excuses too. He's like, well, I can't communicate really well because different language barriers and stuff with the chef, and it's not my fault. I'm like, dude, I'm not trying to, like, I wasn't being rude. I was telling it like it was, right? Yeah. And I'm not trying to blame anybody. I just hopefully we can fix this, right? But when people start making excuses, it's a bit like, I don't know, you've done service jobs, right? You kind of it's just, nobody wants to hear that. They just want you to fix the problem, right?
Just fix the problem.
Yeah. Anyway, they came the third time they came, they were fine, right? Okay. But it was just kind of, and this had happened on top of like all these other things, and it was just kind of like, oh, come on, right? Anyway, so overall, some of the dining was spectacular. Some of it was lackluster. Definitely issues with probably new people, but possibly even brand new to cruising, being servers and stuff, right? So
right. Yes. Yeah.
But does it mean I don't like Royal Caribbean or anything anymore? No, I'm still wearing the hat, right? and I think in this era, especially with what's happened over the last couple of years, you kind of got to go in with low expectations and hope to be, and there, like I said, when those steaks arrived and they were awesome, and like it was like I'm setting my expectations really low, and I was blown away by how good they were. And so
excellent.
Overall, no complaints, but definitely some small complaints along the way where it's frustrating, right? It's just kind of like,
but you still had a good time.
I really did. And we did karaoke on the cruise. It was weird just to have like so few people around.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
But we still wore our masks everywhere. We found probably like a quarter of people wore masks on that ship. Okay. So, we weren't like totally alone. There was the odd person that was kind of like, grumpy about people wearing masks, and it's like, well, sorry about that, but you have fun on your vacation. I'm going to do it my way. So overall it was good. It felt like a vacation, which was my big concern, because I remember at the beginning of COVID, I was like, well, I don't want to travel again until we don't need to wear masks anymore, right?
I think we all felt that way.
I really thought that would be a thing, right?
Look at us now.
Yeah. Anyway.
How are your shore excursions?
Yeah, so we stopped in, it was a whole lot, actually. We stopped in Catalina Island.
Yes.
And Catalina Island is a blast. We don't usually do excursions there because you can do like, glass bottom boats and, all the fun stuff that people do.
Yeah.
What we love to do on Catalina Island, and if you ever go to the Pacific, do your Pacific coastal cruise, I definitely recommend to everybody, rent one of those oversized golf carts. It wasn't that expensive. Feel like it was like $65 or something.
Okay.
Which, like you could spend that. I mean, it's 100 Canadian.
Oh.
You could spend 3 times that on a shore excursion, right?
Yeah.
And you get it. And they give you the route. You boot around the island on this thing. It's so fun, Sarah. But honestly, it's the 3rd time, and Catherine and I like, should we do this again? Because like, we've done this a couple of times, and we've taken every photo we can take, and the Wrigley gum people own the island, and so they like the Wrigley mansion there. You get to go take photos and stuff. Anyway, and then we're just kind of like, yep, let's do that again. And we did, and we just had an absolute blast. And the way they do it is you rent a minimum of an hour, but you pay them for 2, and then they'll refund you the difference. They do it by the minute for the last hour, and they refund you the difference. So you don't have to race back and be like, oh, we're going to get late and get a penalty or something. You just you could take your time, just know you're on the clock after an hour, basically. So we did about 90 minutes or something. And
lovely.
Took our time and got back, and it was great. And then we just wandered around. We had lunch on the pier there. There's a little fish and chips place.
Nice.
It's hard for me to order from places like that, so I'm not so bad. Like if there's a deep fryer that I have what's the word, no unbreaded French fries or whatever, I can eat that usually without a problem. So I did that, and coleslaw.
Bring me all the coleslaw.
Yeah, coleslaw and fries for lunch. So that's and really good tartar sauce. So
nice.
Yeah, real healthy meal there.
But protein in.
Yeah, but it was great. And then after a few hours, we just went back to the ship and had a little nap and had our dinner and took off for the next port, which was San Francisco.
Excellent.
Which I think was the very next day. I don't think there was a sea day in between.
Right.
And we were 2 days in San Francisco, 2 nights in San Francisco.
Oh, wow.
So you arrive, 2 days. So you arrive at whatever time, early in the morning.
Okay.
And then you got that full day. It takes them a while to sort out all the paperwork, so you can get off at like noon or something. And then you have the full day the next day, and then they take off at like 4:30 or something. So it's weird because a lot of the things, like we did the bus loop to see all the different things.
Yeah.
And that's really honestly, if you go to San Francisco, it's not a bad thing because there's a lot of buses and there's a lot of people do that. And so you're not waiting around a lot. And the buses have open tops, most of them. So if you're kind of like, you don't want to be sitting there wearing a mask on a bus because you're a little more cautious, like Sarah and I would be, you can go up to the top and get the natural filtration of the air on the top. So we did that, and it was great. We really enjoyed it. We went all around, saw all the different things. We crossed the Golden Gate Bridge twice, but we ended up just doing a 2-day version of that and there was a night tour the first day. But yeah, the way that those ones work is they run from like 10 to 6 or something. And so it doesn't work perfectly with those 2-day cruises because the first day you lose half of it by the time you get off the ship. And then the second day you lose, the second half, and you hope you get back in time. And I told you the story of last time when we almost missed the boat, right? So this time, thankfully, that didn't happen. We got back like an hour and a half or something before.
Oh, good.
So, we weren't running. We weren't pier runners. Please stop.
Wait. I saw a little video clip of a woman who had to like climb a ladder to get up.
What? On your cruise?
No, it was just a video of just I don't know, some on TikTok or something. It was just
there's on YouTube, you can find compilation videos of people who like pure runners. They
right.
it's just like, and they set it to music and stuff like Chariots of Fire. Dun, dun. Anyway, yeah, no, nothing like that, thankfully. So that was good.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
So that, yeah, there was no Oregon stop or anything. Sometimes the ships would stop in Astoria, which if you can get on a ship that stops in Astoria, I definitely recommend it. It's a cool little town in Oregon.
Nice.
Yeah, right. It looked very historic. It's the town that had the Gremlins was filmed in. So you can actually see the Gremlins house, although they ask you please don't go to the Gremlins house because people actually live there.
Oh.
And the old police station that they had is done up like a museum there and stuff.
Neat.
But it's otherwise there's a Pacific War, like it was a Pacific War base for World War II, right? And there's the legend, I don't know if it's legend or if it's been verified or whatever, but was that there was actually a Japanese sub that was sank somewhere off of the coast.
Oh yeah.
But they never found it.
Oh, okay.
So it may or may not have ever happened. They may have just hit like a whale or something. Hopefully not. But anyway, they saw something.
Yes.
They fired at something and something happened. Right. So goes the legend, which would be the only Pacific theater in North America if that happened, if that was the way it's written. So if you are a historian and you're listening,
do they have a war museum there?
They have a lot. Yeah, they have like really cool museums. We actually went through all the museums and stuff last time when we did stop there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, really neat little town. They have a marina and stuff. And anyway, so we skipped right past that this time.
Okay.
We were a little sad because we really loved that town last time we went, and I had been there previously on a road trip actually. As you know, if people ever take a road trip to see the sand dunes on the Oregon coast or whatever, it's definitely
we did when I was 8.
Yeah, did you? And you probably camped in Astoria. There's a ton of campgrounds and stuff there. So
possibly.
Yeah.
I do not recall because I was 8.
Yeah, there's a campground right along where the mouth of the Columbia River comes out too. Like
cool.
You can actually look out, and don't go swimming though, because you get sucked right in. There's signs everywhere. Please don't swim here. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, skip past that. And our next stop was Victoria.
Excellent.
And Victoria is a beautiful place.
It is.
Both Sarah and I live on Vancouver Island, and it's always fun because on a lot of the cruises you can be like, hey, you meet people, you're like, they'll be like, hey, where are you from? And we're like, we're from Victoria. What? Oh my God, we're going to Victoria. We're going to the Empress or and then they're like, and we're like, yeah, we're from there. And so there was a few like that, but there were so many Canadians on this ship.
Yes, ours was the same.
Which was really unusual. The last time we did Pacific Coastal, it was mostly Americans.
Oh, funny.
Probably like 2/3 of the people we met were Canadians. So yeah, which is maybe fluky, but
right.
I don't know.
I think ours was like mostly from BC.
Yeah.
Anyway,
before we left, our travel agent said you can't get off in Victoria. Can't be done. Because just complicated.
Right. You can't, COVID. Sorry, I was thinking you can't get off and like explore.
No, you can't. We can't disembark in Victoria.
Right. Yeah.
So we're like, oh, that sucks. Oh well. We'll just get off in Vancouver and take, because Vancouver is the final destination. Correct. And it's always for those ships where you live in Victoria, it doesn't make a lot of sense to get off in Vancouver because you get that extra final night. But the next day is just chaos and travel anyway. So you're actually better off if you can just walk off in Victoria.
Yeah.
And so we were told you can't do that. But on day 2, we decided we'd go ask guest services if we could.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, oh, yeah, there's a lot of people getting off. No problem. There's a list and you gotta do this. You gotta keep this was the fun part. They gave us back our card for customs. And you just when you get off, just give that to them.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Sure. Right. So anyway, when we got to Victoria, there was delays in customs,
Uh,
and I feel like somebody made a mistake and gave us back our cards, and that we caused the delay. Although it wasn't just us, there was other people that were doing that they did the same thing with. So anyway, we got our luggage together. We hung out on the ship for the day because why not?
yeah, yeah.
You know, we were enjoying mostly being by ourselves in the fabulous what do they call it? Solarium. That's the one, solarium.
I'm good with words today.
And the hot tub was actually hot. It took them like a few days for it to be hot. The first day was kind of the warm tub, and then it was sort of gradually getting hotter every day. But by the final day, it was actually it was a nice temperature. So we sat in the hot tub for hours and just chilled. Anyway, we walked off the ship and, you know, did the card and the scan and thanks for coming and bye-bye. And then we got to where the customs was, and there's no customs official. So we're looking around like, is anybody was on a break? What's going on? And so we literally walked off the ship, and now I'm telling you, police are going to show up after this episode goes live. We walked off the ship and into the parking lot where my nephew was picking us up, and still had our customs cards in our hand. And so according to the Canadian government, we could be like completely AWOL in some foreign country. Maybe, you know, we'll get a call from, you know, the diplomats asking us if we're stuck in Guantanamo Bay or something. I don't know what happened to Paul. He just never came back.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was super weird. You know, considering crazy border security and, you know, all that, right? So, and yeah.
Although I do have to say, customs in Vancouver was literally just passing them that paper.
Yeah.
And just because I don't know if I told you, but I was in a wheelchair for embarkation and disembarkation. We had requested that. And so I was in the wheelchair, and they had asked if we would need a porter. And we said yes. But then, like, our bags came out, and Josh was just like, whatever, let's just go. So he had his backpack, which is a big backpack full of camera gear. He had a rolly case. He had my big suitcase, and then like 2 other suitcases packed on top of each bag. He's just like carrying things along, looking all gross.
My goodness. Is he a tough guy, a big, strong guy?
Yeah.
Well, he is now, right?
That's right. He was not pleased, but he did it.
Oh man. Did you wheel yourself then?
No, they had somebody pushing me. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So
he carried all the bags and wheeled you.
No, I had somebody else pushing me.
Oh, okay. I was gonna
say. They have somebody that pushes you.
Oh, okay.
And they took me right up to our room when we got on board.
Yeah.
Like right outside the door, and I was like, "Well, this is much more than I was expecting."
VIP service, door to door. Yeah. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So both of our customs experience getting back into Canada was.
Yeah, come to Canada. We're just like whatever.
Right.
Which is weird because I told you the people like that were going back to the US that had been visiting Canada, and they didn't realize they needed a test to fly because in one case they came over on a boat.
Yeah.
And they didn't need a test. They were told they wouldn't need a test to go back, which was true if they took the boat back.
Okay.
But they had decided to fly back, and the person they asked didn't know that they were flying back. And so they missed their flight completely because they arrived, you know, an hour before, and they couldn't get their test in time and get through everything. So, yeah. So, and I think that's still the rule. I think I think to fly into the United States, and that's not a Canadian rule. That's an American rule.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even like, you know, stupid Canada ruining our vacation. It was literally like it's your country's requirement. To be when you fly in. The other interesting thing was LA has a whole bunch of specific requirements as well. LA County.
Oh, really?
So they have a bunch of COVID rules as well.
Oh,
And what's interesting is we did the survey online ahead of time,
oh yeah.
which you're supposed to do. I don't think people know you're supposed to do that though, because we kind of took that, and then when we got there in Victoria, when we were waiting for our first flight, they called us up to the front and they're like, "Oh, we need to do a survey for LA County. Can you answer these questions or whatever?" And I'm so like, "Well, we did already do that." And they're like, "Yeah, but we have to do it again to prove you've done it." So if you're going to LA, don't bother doing it ahead of time if you're flying, because
You're gonna have to do it again.
they're gonna make you just do it again anyway. So,
That's frustrating.
yeah. Well, it is what it is, whatever. Yeah, but and West Coast, right? It's different.
Yes.
LA, we saw a lot of people still wearing masks and stuff, even though
That's good.
there was virtually no mandates and stuff. But so yeah, whereas I think some of the cities I'm a little worried about going to Florida, because we're going to be wearing masks, and it seems like there's a lot of people in Florida, including the governor, who just seem to get angry when you're wearing a mask, and it's like, you should probably just chill out a bit. But
Probably.
anyway, yeah, so this is the state of the world. But
on a more pleasant note,
yes,
how was the entertainment on board?
Actually, for a smaller ship, really good.
Nice.
So there was a dance, there was a dance one, and they were doing, I want to say, I don't even know what the style of dance was, but like this brilliantly difficult looking dance. And I was just like probably sitting there in awe the whole time, like how anybody could dance this incredibly well. It was honestly one of the best dance shows I think I've ever seen.
Awesome.
I wish I could tell you more about it, but it's already kind of a faded memory. But yeah, it was incredible to watch. Like, just absolutely, just a whole group of them, and there was sort of the main two. Oh, and the main dancers were also singers.
Oh, fabulous.
And had these brilliant voices. And man, I wish I could tell you more about it. Anyway, it was amazing. And I was not expecting that. I was expecting low, it's kind of like, hey, post-COVID, entertainment, we're gonna have I don't know.
Nope, they've all been practicing their craft.
Yeah, I guess so. Anyway, the dancing was amazing, and music.
Excellent.
Dance and music. And then the other show we saw was this very, very entertaining, eccentric singer. And he did kind of all these, just Billy Joel, and like just sort of this very eclectic mix of music, and from every decade and
cool
and stuff. So there's always a little something for everyone. Of course, I knew all the songs.
Of course.
And he was brilliant. It's funny because he'd been walking around the ship. It's kind of, you could tell who this guy was, because when he's walking around the ship, he was this weird eccentric looking guy. And and so I'd noticed him previously, because it's like, oh wow, there's a weird eccentric guy, that's cool, whatever, right? And then he shows up on stage, and it's like, oh, okay. He's like, and they even mentioned, it's like, you may have seen me walking around the ship. And anyway, I saw him at the breakfast buffet the next day, because that was because we gave up on the dining room. And I was like, hey, great show last night. And he's like, oh, thank you. And then that was that. So yeah. But anyway, it was great. It was really good. We didn't see any comedians, but other than that, we just did karaoke, which was a lot of fun. So yeah. There wasn't very many people there.
Right.
So I took off my mask when I sang. But
really?
other than that, just was pretty good. Yeah, they wiped down the microphone between songs and stuff, right? Lots of protocols like that. Good. So yeah, it definitely, I think karaoke, there was like a massive room, and there was like 20 or 30 people at the most. So so yeah, that was kind of fun. So I haven't done karaoke here since since COVID started.
No, I haven't. I have not either.
Yeah. But this was such an open room and everything.
Right.
It felt definitely a lot more comfortable. So it's weird, right? Because everyone thinks cruise ships are just going to be this disease carriers and stuff. And I was telling people when I came back, it's like, I think my cruise ship was safer than my son's high school.
Yeah. It makes sense.
Yeah. Anyway, so that was my amazing vacation. And
Nice.
we're going to be doing Florida in August. So that was our
I'm
warm up.
excited for you.
Yeah. Are you guys thinking about another one in the next year?
I don't know. I do not know what's going to happen here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So hopefully, I mean, I'd love to. There's always the intent. So gonna have to look for another inexpensive trip.
Yeah. You can. Yeah, and I think they're going to go up a lot over the next little while.
Yes.
As they start to fill up again, and
for sure,
demand is going to outstrip supply at some point. Royal Caribbean now has all of their ships back in service.
Awesome.
Yeah, it took them a long time, and actually, there's another cruise line as well. I think it might have been Carnival, but yeah, Carnival has one out, I think. But yeah, most of them are kind of back to full operation, even if the ships aren't full, they're all running.
Oh, that's good. That's good. And it was, I thought it was quite nice. I heard that it was 50% capacity.
Yeah.
On mine. And that was lovely.
Yeah. I have a feeling our Florida one's going to be a lot closer to 100% capacity, because there's no formal capacity restrictions at all.
No.
So
and you're on a big one, so it's going to be plenty of people.
It's going to be very interesting. So so let's see what happens between now and then. But yeah, we're super excited, and we're going to do Disney World and see the new Star Wars land.
Awesome.
Yeah. So hopefully go on the rides. But anyway.
Excellent.
Been a slice.
Indeed.
Yeah. And we'll bring another episode in the next couple of weeks. And as cruise news evolves, and I think the next few episodes we'll start sharing some travel tips and giving people some advice and thoughts about different destinations, and talk about some of the places we have been. So
all right,
if you are listening and you have an idea of something you'd like to hear Sarah and I banter about, then let us know, or send us a tweet. You can find us at Cruise Nerds on Twitter and on Instagram, and Sarah posted a really great video on Instagram and YouTube from your trip, so check that out too.
Spectacular.
Yeah. All right, well, have a good one, Sarah.
Wonderful. You too. Thanks for listening.
All right, take care.